The Unsolved Massacre of 1912. Imagine waking up to find your family brutally murdered in the very house where you took your first steps, played your first games, and shared countless memories. This was the reality for the Moore family, who lived in Villisca, Iowa, a small town with a population of just over 250 people. On June 10, 1912, 8 people, including 6 children, were brutally murdered with an axe in their home. The case remains one of the most infamous unsolved mass murders in American history. The victims were the Moore family, Josiah, his wife Sarah, their 4 children, and the family's live-in housekeeper, Kate. The Moore family was well respected in the community, known for their kindness and generosity. They were a tight-knit family, and their loss sent shockwaves throughout Villisca. The town was in a state of mourning, with many residents struggling to come to terms with the senseless violence that had taken place. As investigators arrived at the scene, they were met with a disturbing sight. The crime scene revealed that the killer had stayed long enough to cover mirrors, prepare food, and even leave behind a disturbingly mundane meal. It's as if the killer had been trying to create a sense of normalcy, to make it seem like nothing out of the ordinary had happened. But this was no ordinary crime scene. This was a place where 8 people had lost their lives in the most brutal and violent manner imaginable. The investigation that followed was one of the largest and most extensive in Iowa's history at the time. Detectives and forensic experts combed through every inch of the house, searching for clues and evidence that could lead them to the killer. But despite their best efforts, they were unable to find anything concrete. No fingerprints, no footprints, no DNA evidence. It was as if the killer had vanished into thin air. Theories abounded, from a botched burglary gone wrong to a family feud that had turned deadly. But none of these theories could be proven, and the case remained shrouded in mystery. As the years went by, the case grew colder, and the memories of the victims began to fade. But the impact of the Villisca Axe Murders continued to be felt, a reminder of the senseless violence that can occur in even the most peaceful of communities. One of the most intriguing aspects of the case is the lack of motive. What drove someone to commit such a heinous crime? Was it greed, jealousy, or something more sinister? Theories have been proposed, but none have been proven conclusively. The killer's identity remains a mystery, and the case remains one of the most baffling in American history. The Villisca Axe Murders continue to captivate people to this day. In 2011, the case was reopened after a new tip was submitted to the police department. But despite extensive investigation, the case remains unsolved. The victims' families continue to seek justice, and the community remains shaken by the brutal and senseless violence that occurred on that fateful night. As we look back on the Villisca Axe Murders, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the senseless violence that can occur in even the most unexpected of places. We are left with more questions than answers, and a deep sense of sadness and loss. The case remains a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the hearts of men, and the importance of seeking justice for those who have been wronged. The Villisca Axe Murders are a testament to the enduring power of human curiosity and the need for answers. As we continue to grapple with the complexities of this case, we are reminded of the importance of empathy and compassion for those who have been affected by violence. We are left with a sense of awe and respect for the investigators who worked tirelessly to solve the case, and the families who continue to seek justice for their loved ones. In the end, the Villisca Axe Murders remain a haunting and disturbing chapter in American history. A case that continues to captivate and disturb us to this day. a reminder of the importance of seeking justice and the enduring power of human curiosity. The morning of the massacre, June 10th, 1912, was a day that would forever change the lives of the people of Villisca, Iowa. As the sun rose over the small town, a sense of normalcy filled the air. But little did they know, a gruesome discovery would soon shatter the tranquility. The Moore family, consisting of parents Ina and Henry and their 6 children, had spent the evening of June 9, 1912, attending a church service and socializing with friends. They had returned home around 10 p.m., unaware of the horror that awaited them. The family had settled into their routine, with the children getting ready for bed and the parents preparing for the night ahead. Ina had even prepared a hearty breakfast for the next morning, a meal that would never be eaten. As the night wore on, the family drifted off to sleep, unaware of the sinister presence that lurked in the shadows. The house, located at 508 East 2nd Street, seemed like any other in Villisca, but behind its walls, a darkness was brewing. The killer, whoever they may have been watching the Moore family for weeks, studying their routine and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The next morning, Sunday, June 10th, 1912, began like any other. The sun rose over the town, casting a warm glow over the streets and homes. But in the Moore household, a sense of dread hung in the air. The family's neighbor, Will Westfall, had been watching the house from across the street. Noticing that the curtains were still closed, it was unusual for the Moore family to be so quiet, and Will's curiosity got the better of him. At around 9 a.m., Will decided to investigate further. He walked across the street and knocked on the door, but there was no response. He tried again, this time calling out to see if anyone was inside. The silence was deafening, and Will's instincts told him something was wrong. He walked around to the back of the house and peered through the window, and what he saw would haunt him for the rest of his life. The scene inside the Moore home was one of unimaginable horror. The family lay dead, their bodies brutally bludgeoned with an axe. The children, ranging in age from 8 to 10 months, had been killed in their beds while their parents lay on the floor, their bodies twisted and contorted in agony. The killer had struck with precision and ferocity, leaving no question about their intentions. Will Westfall was shocked and horrified by what he saw. He knew he had to act quickly, so he stepped back and ran to the nearest phone to call for help. The news of the massacre spread like wildfire through the town, and soon the streets were filled with people, all trying to make sense of the tragedy. As the day wore on, the people of Villisca struggled to come to terms with what had happened. The police were called, and an investigation was launched, but the killer remained at large. The question on everyone's mind was, who could have committed such a heinous crime, and why? The discovery of the Moore family's bodies would become one of the most infamous crimes in American history, a case that would haunt the town of Villisca for generations to come. As we delve deeper into this tragedy, we'll uncover more about the events leading up to the massacre, the investigation that followed, and the impact it had on the community. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the lives of the Moore family and the senseless tragedy that befell them on that fateful morning of June 10th, 1912. The people of Villisca would never be the same, and the memory of the Moore family would be etched into their collective conscience forever. As we explore this case, we'll ask the questions that still linger today. Who was the killer, and what drove them to commit such a brutal crime? We'll examine the evidence, the suspects, and the theories. But one thing is certain: the Villisca Axe Murders will always be a mystery, a reminder of the darkness that lurks in the shadows, waiting to strike. As we continue to unravel the mystery of the Villisca Axe murders, we find ourselves at the crime scene where the brutal attack took place. The investigation into this heinous crime was led by none other than Sheriff George McClendon, a man tasked with unraveling the threads of this gruesome tragedy. Sheriff McClendon's team arrived at the Moore residence to find a scene of utter chaos. The house, once a sanctuary for the Moore family, now stood as a testament to the violence that had unfolded within its walls. As they made their way through the house, they were met with a sight that would leave even the most seasoned lawman shaken. The victims, 6 children and 2 adults, lay lifeless on the floor, their bodies bearing the scars of a violent and merciless attack. The youngest victim, 5-year-old Paul Moore, had suffered a particularly severe blow to the head, leaving his small body battered and bruised. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that the killer had taken great care to cover their tracks. Mirrors were smashed, but the glass was swept up, and the floors were cleaned, leaving behind a trail of tiny specks of glass, a macabre reminder of the events that had transpired. But it wasn't just the physical evidence that was telling. The killer had also left behind a more sinister message. A meal had been prepared in the kitchen, a meal that would go uneaten, a meal that would be left to rot. It was as if the killer had been in a hurry, but not so much that they had forgotten to perform a few last-minute tasks. This attention to detail would become a hallmark of the investigation, one that would leave investigators scratching their heads. Despite the thoroughness of the investigation, however, no clear motive, suspect, or evidence was found. The killer had seemingly vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a trail of unanswered questions and a community in shock. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, the people of Villisca, Iowa, began to wonder if they would ever find justice. The lack of leads and the absence of a suspect would lead the investigation down a path of speculation and theory. Was it a family member who had been driven to madness, a stranger who had wandered into town, or perhaps something far more sinister? The possibilities were endless, and the more the investigators dug, the more questions they seemed to uncover. As we delve deeper into the mystery of the Villisca Axe murders, one thing is clear. The investigation into this brutal crime would be a long and winding road, one that would take investigators down a path of twists and turns, dead ends, and false leads. But it was a road they were determined to follow, no matter where it might lead. The investigation into the Villisca Axe murders would become one of the most extensive and exhaustive in American history, involving some of the most brilliant minds of the time. From forensic experts to detectives, from doctors to psychologists, every possible avenue was explored, every lead pursued. But despite the best efforts of these investigators, the case would remain unsolved, a haunting reminder that sometimes crimes can go unpunished and the truth can remain elusive. As we continue to explore the Villisca Axe murders, we are left with more questions than answers. Who was the killer? Why did they commit such a heinous crime? And what drove them to leave behind such a trail of destruction? These are questions that will haunt us forever, questions that will continue to fuel our investigation and our fascination with this tragic event. The case of the Villisca Axe murders would go on to become one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history, a case that would captivate the nation and leave a lasting impact on the community of Villisca, Iowa. But for now, let's take a step back and try to piece together the events of that fateful night and see if we can uncover any new clues that may have been missed. As we reflect on the events of that night, it becomes clear that the killer had left behind a trail of cryptic clues that would take investigators on a wild goose chase across the country. From the shattered glass on the floor to the meal left uneaten, every detail seemed to point to a killer who was both meticulous and reckless. A killer who had left behind a trail of breadcrumbs that would lead investigators down a path of confusion and misdirection. But despite the twists and turns of the investigation, one thing remained clear. The Villisca Axe Murders were a crime of unimaginable brutality, a crime that would leave a lasting impact on the people of Villisca, Iowa, and the nation as a whole. A crime that would raise more questions than answers and leave us wondering if justice would ever be served. Theories and suspects. As the investigation into the Villisca Axe Murders continued, theories began to emerge about the identity of the killer. From a jealous husband to a vengeful neighbor, the possibilities seemed endless. But as the police dug deeper, it became clear that none of these theories quite fit the evidence. One of the early suspects was a man named William Mansfield, a former husband of one of the victims, Sarah Monahan. Mansfield had a history of violence and had been known to have a grudge against the Monahan family. But when questioned by the police, Mansfield seemed genuinely shaken by the events of that night. He had a solid alibi for the time of the murder and eventually cleared his name. Another theory was that the killer was a disgruntled neighbor who had been feuding with the Moore family. But as the police spoke to the neighbors, they found that no one seemed to have a clear motive for the crime. The neighbor theory was eventually dismissed as the investigation continued to focus on other leads. The police eventually narrowed their investigation to several key suspects, including a local doctor and a former boarder at the Moore house. But despite their best efforts, they were unable to gather enough evidence to bring anyone to justice. The case remained unsolved, and the killer was never caught. One of the most intriguing aspects of the case is the lack of motive. Why would someone commit such a heinous crime without any apparent reason? Theories abounded, from a botched burglary to a twisted game of revenge. But the truth remains a mystery to this day. As we continue to explore the Villisca Axe Murders, it's clear that the investigation was hampered by the lack of forensic evidence and the limited technology available at the time. But despite these challenges, the police and investigators of the day did an impressive job of gathering clues and piecing together the events of that fateful night. The case of the Villisca Axe Murders remains one of the most baffling in American history. Despite the countless theories and suspects, the killer was never caught. And as we delve deeper into the case, it becomes clear that the truth may never be fully known. But what about the family of the victims? How did they cope with the loss of their loved ones? And what about the community of Villisca, which was forever changed by the events of that night? These are questions that we will explore in the next section of our documentary. As we take a step back from the crime scene and look at the bigger picture, it's clear that the Villisca Axe Murders were not just a random act of violence. They were a symptom of a larger problem, a problem that still plagues our society today. The question is, what can we learn from this tragedy, and how can we prevent such atrocities from happening in the future? Theories and suspects may have been plentiful in the case of the Villisca Axe Murders, but the truth remains elusive. As we continue our journey of discovery, we'll explore the aftermath of the crime, the impact on the community, and the lessons that can be learned from this tragic event. In the next section, we'll examine the response of the community to the tragedy and the efforts to rebuild and heal. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the sheer brutality and senselessness of the crime. 8 people, including 6 children, bludgeoned to death with an axe. The case remains unsolved, but the impact of that night will be felt for generations to come. As we move forward, we'll continue to explore the intricacies of the case and the various theories that have emerged over the years. But for now, let's take a step back and examine the big picture. The Villisca Axe Murders were a crime that shook the nation, but they also raised important questions about the nature of violence and the importance of community. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the world of the Villisca community and explore the ways in which the tragedy affected the lives of those who lived there. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the enduring mystery of the Villisca Axe Murders. Who was the killer, and why did they commit such a heinous crime? These are questions that will continue to haunt us for years to come. As we continue our investigation, we'll be exploring new leads and insights into the case. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the complexities of the Villisca Axe Murders, a crime that was both shocking and senseless. The Villisca Axe Murders will continue to captivate and disturb us for years to come. Theories and suspects may have been plentiful, but the truth remains elusive. As we continue our journey of discovery, we'll explore the aftermath of the crime and the impact on the community. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the enduring mystery of the Villisca Axe Murders. Who was the killer, and why did they commit such a heinous crime? As we delve deeper into the Villisca Axe Murders, a crucial piece of evidence comes to light: the murder weapon itself. An axe with a distinctive handle. Its presence at the crime scene sent shockwaves through the investigation. But where did this axe come from, and who might have wielded it? The axe was found leaning against the wall, its wooden handle stained with blood and hair. It was a gruesome sight, one that would haunt the investigators for years to come. As they began to examine the axe more closely, they noticed something peculiar: a small inscription on the handle. It read CH, the initials of a local farmer, Charles Hawes. At first, the police thought they might have their culprit. Charles Hawes was a well-known figure in Villisca, and his axe did bear a striking resemblance to the one found at the crime scene. But as they dug deeper, they discovered a surprising detail. Charles Hawes had a solid alibi for the night of the murder. He was at a neighbor's farm, attending a social gathering, and several people could vouch for his presence. Despite this, the axe remained a crucial piece of evidence. It was later analyzed by experts who determined that it was a custom-made tool crafted specifically for Charles Hawes. But the question on everyone's mind remained: was it Charles Hawes who wielded the axe, or did someone else use it to commit the heinous crime? The axe's origin and significance continue to be debated among historians and true crime enthusiasts. Some argue that it was a deliberate red herring, planted by the killer to mislead the police. Others believe that it might have been a personal item, left behind by the killer as a twisted souvenir. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the axe in question remains a vital piece of the Villisca Axe Murders puzzle, and its secrets continue to tantalize us to this day. As we continue to unravel the mystery of the Villisca Axe Murders, we're left with more questions than answers. Who might have used this axe, and what was their motive? Was it a crime of passion or a premeditated act of violence? The more we learn about this case, the more we realize that the truth may be far more complex and sinister than we ever could have imagined. The investigation into the Villisca Axe Murders was one of the most high-profile cases of its time, and it continues to fascinate us today. But as we dig deeper into the evidence, we're reminded that sometimes the most seemingly innocuous objects can hold the key to unlocking the secrets of a crime. The axe in question may be a simple tool, but its significance cannot be overstated. It's a reminder that even in the most brutal of crimes, there's often a hidden narrative waiting to be uncovered. As we leave the crime scene behind and move forward in our investigation, we're left with a haunting question. What other secrets might the evidence hold? The axe in question may be just the beginning of our journey into the heart of darkness that is the Villisca Axe Murders. The family at the center of the Villisca Axe Murders was the Moore family, consisting of Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Ina, Paul, and Boyd. They were well-respected members of their community, known for their strong faith and family values. The Moore home was a place of warmth and love, where children were encouraged to grow and thrive. As a family, they were deeply connected, and their faith played a significant role in their daily lives. The Moore family's faith was deeply rooted in their local church, where they actively participated in community events and outreach programs. Their commitment to their faith was evident in their daily lives, as they regularly attended church services and Bible study groups. The family's strong sense of faith helped them navigate life's challenges and provided a sense of comfort and security. On that fateful night in June 1912, the Moore family's lives were brutally cut short. The news of their tragic deaths sent shock waves through the town, causing widespread outrage and grief. The community came together to mourn the loss of this beloved family, with many attending the funeral and offering condolences to the family's relatives. The Moore family's tragedy has left a lasting impact on the community, serving as a reminder of the importance of community, faith, and resilience in the face of tragedy. Their story has been etched in the town's collective memory, with many residents still referring to the family as a symbol of hope and strength. The Moore family's legacy continues to inspire and motivate people to this day, offering a testament to the power of faith and community. As we reflect on the Moore family's story, it's clear that their faith played a significant role in their lives. Their commitment to their faith was evident in their daily actions, and it's this same faith that helped them navigate the challenges they faced. The Moore family's story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, faith can provide a sense of comfort and security. But what about the family's relatives who were left to pick up the pieces after the tragedy? How did they cope with the loss of their loved ones, and what impact did this have on their lives? These are questions that will be explored in the next section as we delve deeper into the lives of the Moore family's relatives and the lasting impact of the Villisca Axe Murders. The Moore family's story is a poignant reminder of the importance of community and faith in times of tragedy. Their legacy continues to inspire and motivate people to this day, offering a testament to the power of resilience and hope. As we continue to explore the Villisca Axe Murders, it's clear that this story will continue to captivate and intrigue us, offering a glimpse into the darkest corners of human nature. The investigation into the Villisca Axe Murders continues to be shrouded in mystery, with many questions still unanswered. But one thing is clear: the Moore family's story will always be remembered as a tragic reminder of the importance of community, faith, and resilience in the face of tragedy. Their legacy will continue to inspire and motivate people for generations to come, serving as a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. As we move forward in our investigation, we'll be exploring the lives of the Moore family's relatives and the lasting impact of the Villisca Axe Murders. We'll delve into the world of the family's relatives, examining how they coped with the loss of their loved ones and the impact this had on their lives. This is a story that will take us to the heart of human nature, revealing the complexities and nuances of the human experience. The Villisca Axe Murders remain one of the most baffling unsolved cases in American history, with many questions still unanswered. But as we continue to explore this story, it's clear that the Moore family's legacy will always be remembered as a poignant reminder of the importance of community, faith, and resilience in the face of tragedy. Their story will continue to captivate and intrigue us, offering a glimpse into the darkest corners of human nature. The investigation into the Villisca Axe Murders continues to be a complex and multifaceted story, with many threads still to be explored. But one thing is clear: the Moore family's legacy. The case files, unresolved. It's been over a century since the Villisca Axe Murders shook the small town of Villisca, Iowa, to its core. 8 people, including 6 innocent children, lost their lives in a brutal and senseless act of violence. The case was a defining moment in American history, a grim reminder of the darkest aspects of human nature. Yet despite the passage of time, the Villisca Axe Murders remain one of the most infamous unsolved crimes in the United States. The police files on the Villisca Axe Murders are a testament to the enduring mystery. The case was thoroughly investigated by the authorities at the time, and over the years, it has been re-examined by countless experts and enthusiasts. But despite their best efforts, no new leads or breakthroughs have emerged. The files remain open to this day, a haunting reminder of the complexities and challenges of justice. One of the most striking aspects of the Villisca Axe Murders is the lack of resolution. The case has been a cold case for over a century, with no new evidence or developments to speak of. It's a sobering reminder that even the most meticulous investigations can sometimes fail to yield results. The Villisca Axe Murders serve as a poignant example of the limitations of the justice system and the devastating consequences that can result when justice is denied. The case has been the subject of much speculation and debate over the years. Some have suggested that the killer may have been a family member or acquaintance of the Moore family, while others have posited that the crime may have been committed by a stranger. Despite the numerous theories and suspects, however, the case remains a stubborn enigma. One of the most compelling aspects of the Villisca Axe Murders is the sense of community that has grown up around the case. The town of Villisca has become a kind of pilgrimage site for true crime enthusiasts who come to pay their respects at the site of the crime. The case has also inspired countless books, films, and documentaries, all of which seek to shed light on this dark and fascinating chapter in American history. As we continue to grapple with the complexities of the Villisca Axe Murders, it's impossible not to be drawn into the world of speculation and conjecture. Who was the killer? What motivated them to commit such a heinous crime? And what can we learn from this tragic event about the human condition? The answers, it seems, remain forever elusive, leaving us with only the haunting echoes of a tragedy that refuses to be forgotten. The Villisca Axe Murders serve as a poignant reminder that justice is not always possible, and that some crimes may never be fully solved. As we move forward in our investigation, we are left with more questions than answers, and a sense of awe at the enduring power of this dark and fascinating chapter in American history. The legacy of Villisca. As the years went by, the Villisca Axe Murders didn't fade into obscurity. Instead, they became a cultural touchstone, a haunting tale of unsolved tragedy that continues to captivate us. It's a story that has inspired books, films, and documentaries, each trying to unravel the mystery of that fateful night. One of the most notable adaptations is the 2016 film The Axeman of Villisca, which explores the case through the eyes of the Moore family. The Villisca Axe Murders have also led to increased awareness of the importance of forensic science and criminology. In the early 20th century, the case highlighted the limitations of law enforcement at the time. However, it also sparked a renewed focus on the role of science in solving crimes. Today, advancements in forensic analysis have helped to solve many cases, but the Villisca Axe Murders remain a stubborn exception. As we reflect on the tragedy of the Moore family, we're reminded of the importance of community, compassion, and understanding in the face of tragedy. The Moore home was a place of warmth and love, where family and friends gathered for meals and laughter. The senseless violence that shattered their lives serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment with loved ones. The Villisca Axe Murders remain one of the most infamous unsolved crimes in American history. Despite the passage of time, the case continues to captivate and haunt us. We're drawn to the mystery, the intrigue, and the unanswered questions that linger like a ghost. Who was the killer? What motivated them? And why did they choose the Moore family? The legacy of the Villisca Axe Murders serves as a reminder of the importance of perseverance, compassion, and justice in the face of tragedy. It's a testament to the enduring power of human resilience and the impact that a single event can have on a community. As we continue to grapple with the mystery of that night, we're also reminded of the importance of learning from the past and working towards a more just and compassionate society. As we look back on the Villisca Axe Murders, we're left with more questions than answers. What do you think happened that fateful night? Share your theories in the comments below.